Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Latoya Coach My Life. I'm still kind of playing around with this whole title thing, but I am Latoya Early, your vision coach, your leadership development trainer, and I am excited about tonight's live coaching session. Listen, if you have never had the opportunity to experience coaching with me live, if you've never experienced one of our coach to coach live segments, or coaching hot seat, this is the time for you to sit down, grab paper, grab a pen, and pull some of the nuggets that we're going to share on tonight. I am excited about tonight's coaching session because I get the opportunity to coach a young lady that I've known from afar, from a distance. Y'all know how we accumulate Facebook friends. She's one of my Facebook friends, but I feel like we're friends for real. She's very familiar with the Early family, what we do, who we are, and so I am excited to have Miss Corzetta Renee on tonight's Coach My Life. Do me a favor and tag another business owner in tonight's live training. Tag another business owner. The reason why I'm encouraging you to tag another business owner is because some of the questions, some of the strategies, some of the dialogue that we're going to go through on tonight may be beneficial to you in your business, whether or not you're a service-based entrepreneur, a product-based entrepreneur, or maybe you're a coach. This is going to be a great this is going to be great dialogue for you. It may be questions that you can ask yourself. It may be questions that you can apply to yourself or strategies that you can apply to your business. So make sure you tag a service-based, product-based coach to this live coaching session tonight so that you too can receive from what we're going to discuss. So I'm going to stop rambling and I'm going to bring up Corzetta. Okay. Y'all know I can talk. I can sit here and just chit chat with y'all, but that's not what we're here to do. So we're going to go ahead and bring up Corzetta to the stage. So happy to have her on today. We are going to talk about her business, and your coach is getting ready to, listen, let me tell y'all something. Before we even started the call, she had started talking, and I was like, wait, pause, wait, stop. We need to record this so that we can get all of the goodness. And I want you guys to be able to experience this coaching session firsthand. Just really quickly before Corzetta introduces herself, I want to let you guys know why we're doing Corzetta's coaching session live. So if you are new to the platform, the Coach My Life Network is a personal and professional development resource for men and women who are seeking support in specific areas of their life. And so what I wanted to do through this live coaching experience is allow you the opportunity to see what we do on the network. Whether or not you're working with me as a coach, you're working with Coach Sandra, you're working with Coach Tiffany, Coach Brittany, Coach Patricia, even if you're working with a dad coach, Demetrius, this is what the setup of coaching will look like, which with each one of our certified coaches, of course, sharing insight and strategy in a more specific area. So tonight we're going to focus on business, and we're going to allow Corzetta to introduce herself and tell us the reason behind her seeking coaching support. Corzetta, tag, you're it.
Hey, everybody. I am Corzetta Renee. As Latoya already said, I do a little bit of everything, right? So I know people always say I'm a creative, but no, I'm like literally a creative. So a lot of people, most people know me as a poet. I think that's where most people started following me just for me doing spoken word at churches, at events, at colleges, you name it. So I started doing poetry when I was like 13, but I started performance poetry at 18 at Eastern. So as a freshman, I made our national slam team and all of that. And that's what I did. I sang, I did poetry. I sang, I did poetry. So most people don't know though, like I have a corporate background too. And so in every position I've ever been in, I've been in operations. And so as time went on, and the Lord just kind of shifted things to the point where like I had to stop corporate, like literally abruptly had to stop corporate, he started opening doors for me to do operations. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll do this. I'll get some clients. And that's what I do. People are always like, Corzetta, what do you do? What do you do? I'm like, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. What do you want to do? I don't know so much that I don't know what to do with. So I won't jump into that because I know we're gonna like go down that road in a little bit. But that's who I am. I am a wife. I've been married to my husband for 8 years. We've been together for 9, married for 8. I have 2 children and a bonus baby. So I'm a mom. I am the youth director at my church. So I love young people. I mentor teenage girls. I do a whole lot of stuff, but I absolutely love my passion in life. If I could do one thing in the world forever, it would be public speaking and
Okay.
motivating, inspiring, and encouraging people, and specifically mentoring like teen girls or young women, I would say. So yeah, that's it. That's me in a nutshell.
Okay, okay, okay. So you already know my brain is moving. If you were to do public speaking, what would you speak about?
So a couple things. My biggest thing though is growth. Like my movement when it comes to encouragement is literally called growing places. Because I personally believe growth is the only thing that indicates life. So like if something is not growing, I consider it dead. If it's dead, it's toxic. If it's toxic, it'll kill you. So as you go through life, I feel like as you go, you gotta grow. So that is something I feel like I can talk about any day, anytime, with warning, without warning. You can throw a topic and I can easily connect that and talk about like growth and development. So that's what I would probably build my whole platform on.
Okay. So growth and development in what? What do you want people to grow from or grow to?
So it's twofold. I think first it starts with yourself. I think that you are naturally better for any environment you're in if you do the work internally to do whatever it is you're called to do externally. So, corporately, when I go in, I talk about the growth and development of companies, and I have a whole bunch of principles that I give them, some guidelines that they need to go by. But I feel like most of that works in regular life too. So
Absolutely.
I like doing it corporately, but I also like doing it individually as well.
Okay. So when you talked about the business that you're launching, tell me a little bit about that.
So, let me give you the background, I guess. So I have been doing operations for forever. When I was
Okay.
in corporate, that's what I did. As I stepped out, that's what I did. My first client came because she literally was like, I see what you've done with this business of mine. I need you to create complete operations from A to Z for my bread and butter company. So I'm
Okay.
like, okay. And then from there, it just grew. I got other clients and it grew. And then I was just like, I think I want to fire clients. I don't really want to do this. Some listen, some don't. But like my passion wasn't in it. So I got in this place where I was like writing down everything that I'm good at, but then I was writing down everything I love. And I was like, well, Lord, I don't know if people are going to pay me to
Mm.
talk. I don't know if they're going to pay me to do this whole motivational empowerment type of, coaching or speaking or whatever you want to call it. And so I prayed that prayer, but I told the Lord, like, okay, I'm fasting, I'm praying, I'm reading every single day in some way or another until you give me answers. A week later, I got an email that was like, hey, I need you to MC this event, and you've done this and this and that and the third. And so, transparently speaking, I don't care. I don't mind saying the number. Um, she was like, my boss told me that we needed to contact you, and because of what you bring and who you are and all of your experience, we want to give you $1,000 to be the MC for this conference. And I'm like, okay.
Okay.
Now, here's what's crazy about that. The conference is an operations conference. I got my certification and graduated from a program called Operations School in Farmington Hills the prior year. So I was at the conference and I was just like, what? So, like, what I'm doing, the door was open because of operations still, like, because God doesn't waste anything, right? So, I got into the I was like, "Okay, this is what Imma do." In the midst of that, somebody else called me and was like well, somebody posted and said, "Do you guys know somebody that is like a mobile painting with a twist person, but also does motivational speaking, or 2 people that do it and I can use both?" All I did was comment and say, "I can do both if you need me to." Because I do crafting. So, like, my craft business is literally called Put It on a Canvas. So, and I don't even like publicize it because it's like, oh, this is my side money. This is my hustle money. And so I ended up being able to do that. That's actually coming up Saturday. And when I put my price out there, because I was scared, but I was like, okay. She was like, okay, great, perfect. I'm so excited. And I'm like, so more and more opportunities like that have been coming, and it's literally for me to just do what I said I love to do. So Corzetta Renee has actually been LLC for so long, just for me as a speaker and doing poetry and everything. So I decided that I'm going to make it a real thing. I remember being like, I don't know, 2021, and I was like, Lord, I want to travel the world, inspiring the masses. And
Mhm.
so here we are. I've even got people asking me like, "Hey, I know you talk about growth a lot. Do you think you could coach me with that?" And I'm like, I don't know, but let's just talk and pray and see." And
Okay.
people are like, "Okay, well, let me know. I'm gonna pay you." And I'm like, "What?" So now I am aligning my passion and what I love with what I actually should be doing, and I'm just trying to let God do the rest.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah,
So let me pause for a quick interlude. We did not pray
we didn't.
in this and was like, let's go, let's move, let's shake. We got to talking. So we ask that God has his way in this space. We decrease us that he may increase in Jesus' name, that the hearers, that those who are assigned to hear this will hear in Jesus' name. Okay, so the business that you're launching this coming weekend is what? Tell me the name and the services that you offer.
It is literally Corzetta Renee LLC. That would be the website, CorzettaRenee.com. And it's two things that I'm just starting with. Well, actually, three. So the one is obviously the public speaking, hosting events, whether it's a birthday party, um, a conference, church stuff, you name it, I host it, including and corporate events and stuff like that too. So
Okay.
that'll be the first one, just public speaking. And I'm just starting out with just growth and development. That's the topic. That's what I know. I know.
Okay.
That's my lane.
Okay.
The second thing is called is paint and pour, but not pour like liquor. Um, so it's literally pouring into people that come, but using the painting as a way to like just mentally have a little break and also just like leave encouraged by having something to take with you. And
Mhm.
every lesson is every painting is a lesson. So I won't give that away because some of the stuff I do every single time I do it. And I've been doing them, but I just hadn't really put it out there. And
Okay.
then third thing will be just a minor. When I say minor for now, minor level of coaching. So when it comes to like creative development and things like that, a lot of people, and I have permission to use some of them. So like Jesus Plus Sneakers. Brianna is the CEO owner of that company. Me and her have worked on a lot of stuff. And
Okay.
so she was always like, you need to have people pay you to do this. So creative branding and management and development and things like that. That'll be the third thing that I offer as part of Corzetta Renee.
Okay. So tell me this. What is it about operations that you don't like?
So I think it's people are so resistant to change, right? So, one of the major things we talk about with operations is you have to streamline everything. You have to use technology. You have to automate. There are some things that you should not be doing manually. There are so many things your system should be able to do. And a lot of times we take so much time getting everybody's system set because they're so resistant to following the process. People don't like to follow the process. So that's what I don't like about it. It's just that you have to tussle with people that want better, but they're not necessarily ready to change. So it's just like, well, why are we here? Why did you hire me? And that takes more time because then you have to do some mindset shifting. And so when you didn't, sometimes I don't account for that part when I go in with the proposal. And then I get in and I'm like, wait, we've spent 25% of the time in the beginning just getting your mindset. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe we should have had this conversation before because now we're contractually, I'm obligated to still do what I said I'm gonna do, but now I have to do more work because you weren't really ready.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the hard.
Okay. So I hear all of this being one thing.
Okay.
And here's why. This is and it's now more so fine-tuning the message. It's so it's so dope to hear you talk about incorporating paint and pour, right? Because that is a therapeutic technique to help certain people connect information, right? And so I don't know if this is something that's already inside of your framework, but when I hear all of the things that you're talking about, when you're talking about the coaching, the public speaking, I did put it MC down as one of the services, and paint and pour, I still hear operation development or process
Mhm.
development. And the reason is because the process development or the operations is what ties into the coaching part. It's the implementation. So it's now just changing what how you look at operations. Because if my core training is growth and development, there has to be a process or some sort of standard operating procedure put in play for you to reach whatever that goal is.
That's true.
I wouldn't disconnect operations. And another reason is because it falls not only under it can fall under coaching, it can fall under consulting, but it also falls under public speaking. Because now, if you're talking about operations, if you're talking about personal development, then you could talk about the growth, development, and operations of what that looks like with your own framework. If you're talking professionally and we're talking about systems and operations, of course, we've identified the overall outcome of each one of those areas. So if I'm coaching or speaking at an event for personal, if my theme messaging is growth and development, then let me take you through the operation procedures. Let me take you through the SOP of growth and development, right? So that's personal. And then I can design a process for you to implement for you to reach whatever that outcome is. So that's why I asked in the beginning to specify growth and development. What are you growing? Where's the area that you're growing them? You're growing them from what to what? Like, what is the specific destination of the growth? One thing, one place that you thrive in is creativity. So if the growth is to birth something, if the growth is to peel back the layers of the person's creativity so that they can identify their creative skill or whatever that overall goal is, we need to identify that. I don't think that you need to take away the operations. It's just learning how to monetize it where it still falls in line with what you enjoy doing. And even in operations, you can't hire me just to, it's not a done for you program. It's a done with you program. And so if I'm going to develop the systems and the processes with you, then there has to be a certain amount of coaching and training that takes place. So whether or not you do, and you can most definitely set it up this way. You don't only have to take in clients where they want you to implement their automations. Well, if you're not following the automations, if I can't get you to buy into the result of the automation, then there's no point of implementing it. But if you have to go through my 3-part training course, or whatever you design, and then we work together in implementing the systems, then that's a whole nother client.
Got you.
So it's really just changing, because you're right. In order to, that could be frustrating. It is frustrating to, create a system or a process for someone. And if they don't understand the purpose of the system and the process, then the process is null and void. But if I'm teaching you, if that's a part of my programming, where when you hire me, these are my requirements, then now all you do is now embed the amount inside of the overall cost. So maybe before, automations or system setup was 1,500. Well, now automation and setup is 2,200, because I have to make sure that these things are covered before we can implement the new process.
That's good.
So just if operations is a skill, then how can we incorporate what you love into the skill? And what you love is teaching, training, developing people in areas where they require growth. Identify that for every client.
Mm.
You can also specify, when I hear you talk about this, I hear leadership development. I hear leadership. I hear, entrepreneurial. If these are the people that are the areas that you're going to focus on, highlight them.
Mm.
Call it out. You don't have to just talk to a random person who wants, no. If you fall under these 3 categories, if you are in leadership, if you are an entrepreneur, if you are, maybe those are the only 2, or whatever, whoever we identify to be your specific ideal client, then that's who we design around. That's who the messaging is around. So tell me this, who do you want, when you talk about growth and development, who do you believe that's for?
So I'll be honest. I feel like on a personal level, like if it's one-to-one, women for sure. Just because I know what it is like to be a woman that gets stuck or that has a different kind of path. And then for some, they don't necessarily have a difficult path. They just don't know what it takes to grow from where they are to where they're trying to get to.
Mhm.
And so that honestly is really a lot of mindset shifting. That's really all it is. But then if I'm doing it for leadership training for like on a corporate level, honestly, I believe that it's organizations, actually any organization, because I've done it for a couple that are smaller and then a couple that are a little bit bigger. And so I like to go after people that are actually trying to create the kind of culture in a workplace that they want while they grow the people. And so, like, for example, one thing that I always tell every single company, and they are always like a little shocked by it at first, but once I get into it, they understand is that you never manage people. You develop them. So you develop the people, you manage the process. And if you develop your people, they will manage, create, enhance your process, period. It will always be the case. And so you'll have them in a place where they're empowered to make decisions, empowered to do things that to help other people as well, as opposed to saying, this is my task, I'm going to manage this task, and that's it. So once you get people to understand, develop people and manage processes, it literally shifts the trajectory of their business if they're willing to invest in the people. So my target corporately, is pretty much any company that is actually willing to make those changes and wants a culture shift. If not, I kind of shy away from some of those. And I've turned a lot of them down too, because I can already tell it's like, well, we like seniority around here. And if you've been here longer, then, we got to give you what you deserve because of your time. I don't work with those at all
Mhm.
under any
What type
circumstance.
of cultures are you looking to create?
So for me, I know a lot of people say like, "Oh, we want an inclusive culture." I think that can be so ambiguous. For me, I think people should have a safe culture where they feel like expressing thoughts and ideas are not something that the company is against. I also think the culture should be that when I express these ideas or give these different things to you as a worker, I'm giving credit for that. So, one thing that I know I've implemented in some places is like, what is your system for acknowledgement for the team? So if you have to have a way to acknowledge what people do, you have to give them credit for what they do. And then I also like to make sure that they incentivize in a way that their employees actually benefit from and enjoy. So I might not need you to give me a kudos email sent to all team. I might want you to put it in my check.
Okay.
Or I might not want you to put it in my check, but I might want you to let somebody know that I did this or be considered for promotions because of that. So for me, I'm always looking for people that really value their employees and not just on paper. And you can always tell when you ask what way they incentivize their employees. That's the first question, and you can tell from right there how their culture is set up. Most of the time, you can tell.
Okay. So when you think of Corzetta Renee, what is it? What problem, if you were to share one line with someone, that's all you get, what would you say? If to get someone interested in your company, to get someone interested in your services, give me that one line.
Come back to me. I got to think of it.
Okay.
um,
So, and I've been writing down different things that you've been talking about growth, development, um, helping your idea of a successful company. Your idea of successful company culture is giving them the space to create, valuing their creativity. All of these things fall under who you are. So it's designing the message that speaks to that, talking or speaking to organizations that want to implement some of these, systems in their process so that they can highlight and identify and value those that are around them. When you talked about developing people and managing processes, that sounds like the core of what you do. So identifying or creating a message that speaks to developing people and managing process through what? Through I'm thinking through my words. What were some things that you came up with when you think of that one line?
um, one word is change for sure. Um, I feel like I make what is difficult easy, or I make what seems complex simple. And I think speaking to who I am in general, I
Mhm,
think that I do that with everything. So like my poetry, for example, um, like I'm in a collective with a couple of different poets, and one thing everybody always says is like, mine is going to be simple. I'm going to make sure that if you're in middle school, you get it, high school, you get it, but if you're a philosopher at Harvard, you're going to get it too.
mhm.
And there'll be something in there just for you, so you understand I'm sophisticated enough to hang with you up there, but I am also aware enough to make sure that anybody in the room can understand and be impacted. So, I definitely believe in being relatable, but not in a way where I'm gullible, right? So I definitely understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, I don't have to necessarily bend to agree with you to help you understand what needs to happen to make that shift.
Okay. 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 When people hire you, why are they hiring you?
So if it's operations, usually because they're growing or they're in a place where they're doing everything manually and they need time back, or they need something where they don't have to manually do everything. Bottlenecks, that's a big one. A lot of people have processes, and then in the middle of it, they have this one area where they always get stuck, or clients get dropped at this point, or um, they haven't figured out how to make it an automated system for whatever reason. That's usually a big one. When it comes to like growth and development, it usually is people just get stuck. And I know what that's like too, but people get stuck in their own heads and their own minds. They get stuck because of what they think people will think. And typically the people they're worried about aren't even their target audience, or they're not even the people that they're supposed to be worried about. So um I feel like usually the problem that I'm solving is helping people get out of their own way.
Okay. So that's through operations. What for public speaking, if I were to hire you to come speak to my audience?
One, the energy is going to be high the entire time. Two, it takes the work out of what you have to do. So if this is your event, you need to focus on what you are doing for the event. As far as navigating people through what that event needs to look like, I'm the girl. Okay. So I'm going to know about what you're doing, how the program needs to move, if something needs to pivot.
Pause. Is this emceeing or is this public speaking?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was MCing.
Okay.
Public speaking. Usually, if there is a message, you have a theme, there's something you want to focus in on, I am going to be that 5 minutes that brings it all together. And in 5 minutes, you're gonna be like, oh, well, that's why we came. That's why we're here. Um, I typically, yeah, the energy definitely is going to shift no matter what event. If it's high, we're going to go higher. If it's low, we coming up. So that is what I feel like for me, I'm always able to bring is whatever message you need the people to get, I'm going to give it to them, and I'm going to give it to them well. And I'm going to keep the level high while I'm up there. So,
Okay. So I have so far I'm hearing you talk about I'm in my mind as you talk, I'm putting together so that it all makes sense. The overall result that people get from interacting with you. So, and that's something that we have to be a little bit more specific on is identifying. We know that there's growth. We know that through operations, they'll get time back. We know that through public speaking, you're going to be able to deliver transformation through emceeing. You're going to create cohesiveness, but what is the overall result of that? So what is it that people, I'm coming to you because I know Corzetta is going to do this.
um, I'm gonna make whatever you do it better. I don't know if there's like a, or maybe I don't know that yet. Maybe I know, but I don't know how to put it into words and articulate it properly. Um, but I know that most people when they ask me, that's what it is. The personality, the messaging, even if it's not a poem, because sometimes I've just been asked to like do keynotes. So even if it's not a poem, typically whatever however you need the people to leave feeling, I'm going to be able to give that to them.
What, okay. How do you want people to leave feeling?
Empowered, encouraged. Sometimes I want them to leave not convicted, but with a mindset that like, oh, okay, I need to do something different. I want them to leave changed, and I want them to not just have a moment. I want them to have an experience that like shifts their mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So that's usually my goal.
Okay. So far I'm saying Corzetta Renee, inspiring growth through developing people, managing systems, and I need a third, but I want it to be something that speaks to your creativity. And again, this is just we're getting to some clarity. I still want Corzetta to take some time and define what it looks like. What does your client journey looks like, right? Whether or not it's through you developing operations for them, whether or not they hire you as an MC or public speaking, whether or not they hire you to do the paint and pour. I want to know seamlessly, what is it that, what solution will she have for me? Yes, we can say, change and growth, but what does that look like for people? Because here's the thing, many people want growth and change, but they don't know what the result of that growth and change is. So it's hard for me to want for something that I don't know what it looks like, right? So when you say I'm hiring Corzetta to come be my MC, it's because I know that when people hear her, this is going to happen. So whether or not when I hear Corzetta, I know that she's going to challenge their current perspective. When they hear, when Corzetta gets up and she does something and she speaks publicly, I know that she's going to encourage or inspire growth in their, identifying their creative space, identifying their unique creative, their value add. Like, what is it that we're going towards? Because if we leave it open ended to just say growth, then we have nothing to measure it against. But if
Yeah.
I know that I'm leading them to this specific area, then I know that my job is being fulfilled. So that's the part, that's what I'm trying to pull so that I can hear you say, I want people to have this, whether or not it's through painting, it's through emceeing, it's through coaching. When they're done, they're going to arrive here.
Hmm. Okay.
Let's backtrack a little bit. When you talked about how you've been doing a little bit of everything. You started out with poetry and singing. Why did you start out with poetry? Why did you do poetry?
So when I started writing when I was younger, it was just a way to express myself, and I realized like it came out rhythmically. So that's just what I mean, I've been singing, of course, since I was like 5 or 6 at church. But the writing, I literally wrote every single day all the time. And then once I got to college, I mean, it was a poetry society, and it was like, oh, okay, I can write about this stuff in a clever way. I mean, I even used to like freestyle. I don't rap anymore. I won't. I don't. um, but I feel like there is a way for me to express any and everything, whether it's trauma, whether it's joy, whether it's something in a story, something that happened, or a message I want to get across. I know I can do that, and I can do it in a way that's going to grab somebody and keep them, even if for that moment. And so I've always loved that, and I've always in performance poetry. My mentor always taught me like feet or tears. You either bring them to their feet or you bring them to tears, but you have to reach them one way or another. And if you
Okay.
do that, you're
Same
doing something.
thing. Same thing. It's like, where are you taking them? Are you leading? Because don't just lead them into greatness. Lead them to a specific destination in greatness. But you have to identify that. So what something that you said is when you would do poetry, it was a form of expression. And so when you think about growth and development, when you think about, I want you to think about those times where you have um, coached people through an experience. Do you feel that you were able to help them express a part of them that they maybe they didn't notice a part of them, maybe they didn't know, maybe you were able to pull something different or unique out of them? What is it, where was the fulfillment in your coaching time? What was the aha moment for you when you, not, and let me not just use the word coaching, just general conversations, even with the clients that you've had with operations? What was the moment in the dialogue or in the process where you were like, that's it?
Um, so I think it's like it's in tandem. So in conversation, if it's, let's say it's not even a coaching session, but it's just one of those sister girl conversations. I
Mhm.
think it's when they're like, you know what, you're right, or I need to do this, or I need to do that. But it goes against where they've currently been. So like perfect example. Um, Somebody that I'm close to was considering like going back to school or something like that, but she gave me all of this other stuff, like, look at my age, look at this, and look at this, and look at that. And I'm like, well, the time is going to pass either way. So it can pass with you having this and starting, or it can pass and you're still in the same spot. You just have to choose where you want to be when that time is up. And so I think when they have those moments where it's like, okay, dang, all right. So now I do need to shift how I'm thinking. I feel like for me, that's the moment where I'm like, whew, okay, we're getting somewhere. But I also, here's the thing, I think more than anything that matters to me is that um value. Like what matters to me is that people see value in their journey and where they're going and who they are, and that matters to them more than it matters to me, right? Because I can see it all day, but if you don't see it, if you don't understand that all things work together for good, if that's your thing, like, because sometimes some people aren't necessarily saved, so that might not be their thing. But for me, I honestly don't try to coach people that don't believe, like, I don't, I just don't believe that I should have to separate my business from
Absolutely.
my faith. So if they tell me already, like, the solution I have for you is no good if that's not what you believe. And so my challenge for people is, or when I feel like I've got a win or I feel good, is when I've helped them see themselves the way that God sees them. So like,
Okay.
I know you got all this stuff going on. I know this is all this stuff is in your story. However, like, the author still has a different plan. And then once they can understand and believe that that is good for them too, I feel like that's the win. But not just like in that moment, right? Because to me, growth takes time. I don't think it's one conversation. I
Hmm.
think you can have wins in a conversation, but it is a process. And that process comes with a lot of L's. It comes with a lot of losses. It comes with some losses that are bigger than victories, but like sometimes you have to think of it in terms as like battles versus wars. Like, you might not win every battle, but at the end of the day, you're gonna win the war. So for me, I like to think of it as like a, oh, okay, we're getting somewhere when that cycle starts to change. When consistently you're thinking different and consistently you're moving different and consistently you're making different decisions, then I feel like, okay, we're getting somewhere.
Okay. Okay. So with the different pillars, so with when we talk about that's it we're what we're where we're trying to get people to is the discovery of self-value. And so getting them to that place. So whether or not that's through processes, whether or not that's through paint and pour, whether or not that's through emceeing, Corzetta's overall goal, my core message is to get people to self-identify value. How can they identify the value that they already have in front of them? How can they identify the value? And so when I talk about how you can incorporate this, because now this is even coaching the entrepreneurs and their systems, helping them to first identify self-value so that they can see why these processes is what's needed to help them scale or to help them grow, even in your workshop. So circling everything around that gives you a little bit more of a structure. So now when you talk about my overall goal is to help people identify self-value. Now the question is, how am I going to help them identify that? So even when I think of the paint and pours, I'm thinking workshops. I'm,
Hmm.
I'm thinking I see self-esteem growth, self-care growth. I don't know, mommy growth. whatever, however you want to categorize what these workshops look like. But as you are teaching and they're painting, it is to help them identify self-value. And
Yeah.
so now, so tell me this, because the more you master this, the clearer it becomes. Why is self-value, why is it important to you?
Okay. I'm gonna try to do this without getting emotional. Um, hmm. It's important to me because I feel like when people are not aware of who they are, what they will accept for themselves is so much less than what they should. And so I think I learned that by going through my own journey myself. I learned that by being around people that didn't necessarily value who I was, so I didn't know how to. And it wasn't until I realized like I'm worth a little bit more than what I've been taught. And I think that once you realize like how much you're really, really worth, I know people like the phrase like once you know how much you're worth, you won't give discounts or you'll add tax. But the truth is, until you really know and how much you're worth and you actually value that, you'll never walk in anything that you're supposed to. Once you start realizing who you are, and that's even as a business, that's as a person, once you know I do this well, I bring this to the table, I am the table, whatever the case may be, once you know that and you value that, you will not allow other people to define who you are. And when you don't allow people to define who you are, you don't let them dictate what you do. And so a lot of people, a lot of businesses, a lot of groups, a lot of everything stays stagnant because they don't understand the value of what they have to bring, or they're comparing their value to somebody else's, not realizing that nobody's value is ever going to be the same. It's not assessed the same, it doesn't look the same because nobody's journey is the same. And so it's really important to me because I believe that so many people will leave Earth unfulfilled, not doing what they're supposed to do. And for me, I'm not a person that believes like, oh, well, if you don't do it, someone else will. I believe that God has given a lot of people gifts that are in the same arena, but I believe that if you don't do it, it won't be done. There are people that you, as a coach, are supposed to reach that I'm not supposed to reach because they're not assigned to me. But if you don't walk in what you know and who you are in that authority, they'll never be reached. So
Why are
I
you so why are you so passionate? Because
Mhm,
a tone changed.
mhm.
So before it was I do this, I do this. I love it, all the things. But when you start talking about identifying self value and why that's important to you, the tone changed. Why?
Because for a very, very long time, I was the people that I'm trying to help,
That's it.
and I didn't have a Corzetta. Um, Later on, God gave me a lot of people. Oh my goodness, my support now, my circle now is incredible. But for a very long time, from the time I was a kid all the way up until probably my late 20s, early 30s, and can say I'm 38 now. Um, I didn't have it, but I realized how much, I don't want to say I missed, but I realized how misguided I was and what that did to me. And if I can stop somebody from slowing down their pace, if I can stop somebody else from holding back, all because nobody is pouring into them and letting them know like you matter. We need you in this space. We need you to do what you're called to do. We need you to be bold in it. We need you to fight through whatever process you go through. I believe that that is the purpose for me living my life. I think that God allowed me to go through some of the things that I have been through so that I can help somebody else. I don't think anything about my life is about me. But I'm telling you, there are people that have so much to offer. and they're the real thing. And you have frauds out here, and I'm not speaking down on anybody, but I'm saying you have some people
Mhm.
that have false solutions, and the real solution is right here, but you're afraid, or you don't understand your value, or you don't know. And so here it is, you're holding back, all because of this small subset of people, of circumstances, of whatever, that are so small in the grand scheme of this big world that God created. So I, for free, for a long time, this is just something that I've done and I've been passionate about, and I always will. But now I feel like I can't wait for everything to just come to me. I gotta go get it. Like, I gotta go help. I gotta go solve some problems and be a solution to people that I know need it. So,
Mhm. 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 So tell me this. What, because you said something that hit the nail on the head, right? When we talk about the ideal client, we've been misrepresented, we've been mistaught, let me say that, for a very long time. I've been coaching for 13 years, and I was entangled in the whole avatar and ideal client, and sit down and identify these things about them and what do they need, and all of the things I've gone through. If you name the strategy, the technique, I've probably tried it. And then one day God was like, what's crazy? I'm the one that gave you the idea, but
mm,
you keep seeking outside resources for the strategy. And it wasn't until he set me down to help me master the message. No, Latoya, he that has an ear to hear, they will hear. They're gonna hear you. Stop focusing on my dream client. Because let me tell you, I've had clients that check all the boxes. They checked all the boxes except for the one that was willing to commit to the process to become. That's the box. They skip that. It's like, oh, I can do the work. I can, and when I mean the work, I mean I can shuffle the things around. I can plug this here. But when it was time for them to sit down and look at the man in the mirror and do the internal work, they didn't want to do that part. And while all of the other boxes were checked, what I realized is that if you're not willing to do the internal work, I can't help you,
yeah,
because the outcome of what you're searching for, the qualifications, is the inside work, not the outside work.
that's right.
So I'm saying that because what it is that you are called to do is exactly what you're called from, is what you're called to. Who Corzetta was when she didn't know her value, who Corzetta was when she didn't value her value. These are the areas that you're called to now develop and grow in other people. So that's why that fine tuning of, where am I leading my client to? You're leading your client to self value. What does that process look like? And then now everything that I do. So let's talk about the client. I want you to think about some of the behaviors that Corzetta had before she recognized her self-value. What did that look like?
I allow anybody to be in my life, take up my time, be in my space. Um, I felt like I was supposed to allow people to mistreat me so that I could show them love. Like, I know it sounds backwards,
It doesn't,
but
because I
I,
want to
yeah,
prove to you that regardless of your behavior, you should steal. But and I'm wanting you to identify these behaviors, because the behaviors that you are identifying are the behaviors that you're going to put in your messaging. And you're going to speak just as clearly as you're saying now. Who am I? I want to help the woman who is, and paint that picture for her. Tell her, because she's looking at it, she's reading it, she's connecting with it. What we tend to do a lot is we focus on, we know what the results are, and we know that the results that you're looking to help your client get to is self-value, but they can't see themselves in the process. And so it's up to us to show them areas in their life that is a reflection of not having self-value, not identifying or valuing self-value. What does that look like? And so now in your speaking topics, you're creating topics that are speaking directly to that problem. You're speaking directly. I'm talking to the exact woman who, I'm trying to think of something so specific. I'm talking to what can I say? I'm talking to the woman who waits till 5 o'clock every day to cook dinner because she dreads cooking dinner for her family. Like, it sounds like, come on, it's not that many people out there. I promise you it is. The more niche you become in your messaging, the more you're able to speak directly to who has an ear to hear, because you're speaking to their symptoms, you're speaking to their behavior, you're speaking to exactly what they're going through in that moment, and you're not creating this blanket advertisement like, if you want growth in your life, call me. Growth in what? Why do I need growth? Yes, we know why growth and development is high priority, but that's because we're in it. So we have to talk to people who are not in it, and so that you can show them that growth in this area results in this result. So when you're designing messaging, you're saying growth in one of the things that we mindset growth. When you shift your perspective on how you see things, these are the results that you're going to get, and being specific to that. I'm still in a space where I'm trying to design your core message, that it makes sense. I do believe that systems and processes is a part of your makeup, because I believe that that's your implementation skill. You're good at giving someone like I said, an SOP, a standard operating procedure on how to identify self-value. And so I'm sitting and I'm listening to you to try to pull together what that core statement sounds like, so that we can include the growth and development of people. We can include the managing or the developing of systems, and we can include identifying self-value, and creating a statement that encompasses all of those things, yet it speaks to the person that you want to serve. Do you still want to work with organizations, or do you only want to work with individual people, or only do public speaking?
It's so hard. I feel like I work with organizations, just being very honest,
Mm-hmm.
for me. Like I love the outcome, but it also gives stability, at the same time. But if I had to like pick one and like I could never do it again, I would definitely have to be like, well, I could put operations aside. I'm still going to do it in the other things that I do, but maybe not with organizations. Just as there's so many different pieces that go together depending on the size of the company. And I usually don't choose a company unless they're like a million in revenue or less. I
Mm-hmm.
don't go for the big ones just because the team, the work, all of that comes into it can be really, really, really involved. And then the time that changes and shifts too, even though if it's a big enough project, you take the time and let that be your year. But
But what if you partner with organizations that want you to help their team identify self-value? Like, what if that's what they want?
now that I could do that, I would do that with joy, with lots of joy. Just because even the workshopping for that is really, really valuable. Like just starting out, like I always tell people, not to be confused with the drug, but I always tell people like it's a PCP method to everything when it comes to that side of working with organizations. So you're
Mhm,
going to start with what do you do well? Like these are the positives.
mhm, mhm,
And then you go constructive and then you go back to positive slash productivity. So
mhm.
because this is what you do, but because and this is where you are weak, this is how we become productive in that and create another positive out of that. So that's like even when I go in and start it out, I always start that way. Um I have acronyms for everything. It's ridiculous.
But
But
that's what I'm saying. That's why it makes sense. It makes I hear it and I see it. I'm just like, okay, Lord, put it in words for me because I hear exactly what you're capable of doing. And of course, what we don't want to do is feel like you want to offer a a program to especially to organizations that is going to increase retention, that's going, so of course you want to find out what that outcome looks like. Of course it's self-value, what they're going to walk away from, but what is it going to do for the company? And so when we start talking about retention, when we start talking about being an ERG support or supporting people, supporting employees and helping them build confidence in the workplace, all of those type of things, we want to. That's what you're saying. You're saying if I could work with people individually and help them build their confidence, build their self-value, or identify and build their self-value, and create growth strategies, whether or not I'm working with someone in corporate or I'm working with someone individually, does that sound like what you're pursuing or what you're setting up to do?
yes. Growth strategies. I like that. I never put it that way, but that literally is what it is because everybody has a different plan based on what they are saying their focus is. Or sometimes they don't even know what their focus is. They've just gone off of what they think their mission statement should be or whatever the case may be. And then
Mhm.
you dig a little deeper and you find out, like, oh, this mission statement was from 20 years ago. And now this is not even what y'all are focused on. So your objective has been off because what you're trying to do doesn't match what you say you do. So you don't have anything to really work towards. So y'all are kind of all over the place. So that's a big one. Like growth strategies, I would say, has been where I'm most successful in operations with
Okay.
people, everything. So I like that. Didn't you?
Okay, so now we're back to identifying this core message for you. We've identified behaviors, right? So, where was Corzetta when Corzetta needed Corzetta, right? And so I want you to again, where were you in your thinking? Where were you in your? Because when you go back there, you're identifying, man, these are the roadblocks that kept me in this space. This is what I was thinking. This is what I was telling myself. When you begin to pull all of those things from your memory, then you're able to use that and speak to the person who's in that position in this very moment. Right. So that's how we market. We market using our behaviors of where we were when we needed our own services.
Hmm.
When you think about like I said, when you think about the paint and pour, I see that as workshops. So, of course, designing a canvas based on what that workshop is. And it could be, maybe it's a series. You could do a series of workshops where, maybe it's a 3-day series and they have to paint according to whatever you're teaching. It could
Mm,
be done in so many different a variety of ways. I love that idea because there's a couple ways I've been wanting to incorporate paint into what I like. I believe that painting is a form of expression. Not even painting within the lines. When I do sit and paint, they'd be like, go buy a canvas. And I'd be like, no, I need to paint what I see. And I need
yeah.
to paint how I see it. And it'd be jacked up. But it gives me that space to be creative and trust what I see, type of thing.
Yeah.
So incorporating those workshops, but again, our overall goal is identifying self-value. Do you have price points for these different areas?
So some, yes, I do. Some, like with the painting, it shifts a little bit only because the size of the canvas makes a difference.
Okay.
Um, and then it also depends on like how we're doing it, where we're doing it. Like when I put them on myself, it's a little bit different. But if I'm doing them, like it depends on how many people they have, kind of like painting with the twist is. And then I account for all materials, stuff like that. But that part is it stays the same. But it really depends on what they're trying to do. And then the pouring part, it depends on if it's a panel. Usually they just have me do it. So that part is usually pretty easy too. But I do have price points for them. Just but it depends on the number of people, the size of the canvas, all that stuff.
Okay.
Usually I put something on the canvas so that it's not like just freestyle. Because
Right.
here's the thing, I am not like a professional painter. I
Absolutely. I get it.
have a memory, like I have a mind that is like, "Ooh, this would be great." I go in Canva, I create a template, I cut and print, I put them on the canvas, and just take everything. So
Absolutely.
it really just kind of depends on the two major factors. I would say are, if some people they just like just do the canvases, bring the stuff, we'll do the rest, whatever. But most people lately have been like, "Hey, can you do the pouring too?" And just to like with that point, literally, I can't remember whether it was last year or year before, but I know it was in October. Um, I had a pour party for my friends, and it was just people that I felt like helped me become like through all of the when Corzetta wasn't Corzetta, and
Mhm.
kind of held my hand to get me to this point. And that's where the idea came from. Like it was no paint then. I just had a brunch and everybody had a personal poem and I'm talking about good gifts. Like really super duper good gifts and presentations to all of them, like a real live thank you for being a friend. And it was different people. It was older people, it was some younger. And so that's where it came from, like being able to pour back into the people that poured into me. And then I don't know if you know Ralph from Austin Community Development.
Mhm.
So he's been like a really good friend of mine for years, and he works with schools. So we
Mhm.
did it as a way for the kids with IEPs to do an art project.
Sweet.
The stuff they came up with, I put one word on the canvas. They chose what they wanted, and the background
Love that.
were incredible. So it just became a thing, and I mean, it works in schools, it works at church, it works everywhere. So I love it.
Okay, give me 2 seconds. Let me think.
Mhm. I know I was talking a lot. My bad.
No, 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 no. I need you to talk so I can, yeah, no.
Thank you, Yolanda, if you're still on. Toya, I saw yours earlier. Intentional Integration Consulting Firm. Thank you. I'm glad y'all enjoying it.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank y'all. I'm in my world right now. Give me a second.
No,
Okay.
you get
Okay, so when we launch, what's your offering? So when you launch, what are you telling the world to do? What do you want them to do? You want them to go to your link or your page and do what?
Book me. It's like, no.
Book you for what?
But no, I mean, obviously that would be the gist of it. But I want them to actually make sure that, this is a journey that they're ready for. Of course, it's messaging on there for all of that. Ways to just get motivational whatevers every week. Like it's a whole bunch of stuff that'll be available. But I really want people that are ready to either do something like a paint and pour. But that if you really feel like you got a group of women or a group of people, it don't have to be just women, but a group of people that need some type of, I don't want to say therapy because I'm not a therapist, but you'll be surprised how much art can like free your mind and help you not think about all of the crazy stuff that's happening. And then I even have packages where it's like, oh, okay, if you want to make it a food thing, because I have vendors that I use for that. So book that. I feel like that is like my go-to. Of course, if you're having a birthday party or something like that, book me for that too, because I'm a wonderful MC. Um, but my goal, honestly, is to work with people now that I have the verbiage. Yes, it is, Brittany. But to work with people in their growth mindset. So like that self-value, now that you gave me that, thank you, because that's going in there. I really want them, if they're struggling with that, if they're in transition, from one place to another, trying to work through knowing their value, even still as change happens, book me. We need to have a conversation. If you're struggling as an entrepreneur with ideas to make sure that you value your business properly, book me. Because it's not just like me telling you what to do, it's me actually breaking down who you are so that you're not separating what you do
Mhm.
from who you are. Because then, I mean, that's probably gonna fail unless it's just something where, it's just a skill that you have and you just do it because you get paid. But for most entrepreneurs, that has to resonate and connect with you on a bigger level other than just the service you provide. Oh, Karma! Thank you. That's my big sister in Georgia.
Okay, so I need another word for not managing systems. Okay, so what I'm hearing is inspiring growth through creative expression, discovering self-value, and it's not man it's when I hear systems, I want people to hear process.
Mm-hmm.
Want them to hear that you're inspiring growth through creative expressions, discovering self-value, and um, implementing effective systems, efficient systems, but not that wording.
Effective solutions is one that I love.
Say it again.
Effective solutions is one that I love. Because I think that's the other thing too. I think that everybody has some solution to offer the world, right? Like God didn't just put you here and drop you here like, oh, you don't have a purpose. I'm just gonna make you. That's never what he does. So I think that in everybody, in everything, I'm sorry, in every person and in whatever it is that God has given you the ability to do or the passion for, I believe that's to be a solution to some problem that exists on earth.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I would definitely say effective solutions.
Okay.
Um, and sometimes it ended up being a system, but
Okay, but again, it doesn't necessarily have to be in the core messaging that you do systems. It just more so needs to be in the service part, so if the developing systems is something that you do provide, then of course we want to make that noticeable to them. But on the flip side, we're just trying to create a cohesive core message that speaks to who you're serving. So we're inspiring growth through creative expressions, Inspiring growth through creative expression, discovering self value, and implementing effective solutions. Who are we talking to? You said women. Are these women, they're looking for growth strategies in what areas?
I would say business or their personal lives. So even if it's like, okay, broke up with someone, what now? I lost myself in this person and I can't find myself anymore. Let's have a conversation. Um, if for business, especially for women that are entrepreneurs, a lot of times it's so easy to start looking at like what everybody else is doing instead of being like, okay, what is it that I know I am supposed to be doing? And how do I make that grow so that I'm authentic, but I'm giving them me as a, because I tell everybody like people, it sounds bad, but people buy into people, right?
They do.
So
Absolutely.
especially as an entrepreneur. They're buying into who you are. Do your values align with the people that you're trying to work with?
Mhm.
So, like, everybody is not your target. Unfortunately, most of the time, your friends are not your target. Your friends are your supporters, but they're not your target.
Absolutely.
Your friends can't help you sustain and grow because the friends are only like a small subset of people. So, I try to help women in business by helping them understand like what is your specific area that you know you thrive in? Who are
Mhm.
those that need that solution? So I would definitely say business wise, mostly entrepreneurs, but and then personal as well.
Okay. So we may not have, because entrepreneurs and people or women in these areas, that language may not connect seamlessly. So
Mm-hmm.
it's more so us speaking to the problem. So
Gotcha.
just identifying. So when you're speaking, yes, you work with women because that's who you prefer to work with. But when we categorize the who, is more so the who is the person who's looking for this solution to this problem. And so of course self-value comes back up, identifying self-value, providing growth strategies to individuals who are seeking to discover self-value, providing growth strategies to people through creative expression, providing growth strategies to people through implementing effective solutions, teaching how do I go from where I am to where I desire to be by identifying who I am. How
Mm.
do I do that? What does that look like? Centering the messaging around helping people identify who they are at their core, centering the message around, again, identifying those behaviors of where you were when you needed you. Um, and when because this sounds like a lifestyle that you are embodying, where it's, I want to magnify my self value in everything that I do. It's teaching other people how to do that. And that's what the core of what you're doing is. I'm trying to teach people how to magnify, or how to embrace their self-value in all areas of their life. And I do this through creative expressions. I do this through teaching or public speaking. I do this through emceeing, helping individuals embrace or discover their self-value. I know that the wording, you're still kind of ironing through how to make it all tie together so that it doesn't look like you're selling three different things. That's the
Right.
one thing you don't want it to do. But I think that the services, if you're saying public speaking, do you have public speaking slash MC, or is it just public speaking?
Uh, public speaking, but I guess it should be slash MC.
Well, it need to be a different, because those are two different things. So
That's
if
true.
you do coaching, public speaking, MC, and now
I feel like, huh?
you making me second guess how to implement these operations. But what were you getting ready to say?
I was going to say, I feel like public speaking is probably the best umbrella, just because that still, like, when I'm doing public speaking, even if I am doing the paint and pour, that's it still falls under public speaking. Um, I don't necessarily need to brand myself as the host with the most. Like, I just am that. So I don't think I need to like highlight that and make that a thing. Like, hey, I think I do it so much. Like, even at the event, three other people already were like, okay, I need to book you for this. So I think that will like move for itself. I don't think I need to like make that a thing as much as I want to make it a thing, like that I'm here to enhance this. So we don't have to necessarily put that one in there.
MCing,
Mm-hmm. Because
but
I
is
just
but even though it's something that you do, it needs to be identified, because
that's
that's how
what I don't want to do is for people to be, and this is where I always, even my friends that try to help me, this is where we always get stuck. I do a lot of stuff, and it's like, okay, what needs to be the thing, right? Like, I know for sure I don't want to go out here and be like the process queen. I used to want to be, but I knew that I wanted to do that because that's where the money resides. But although
okay.
I love it, you know what I mean? But when I think about like my life and purpose and passion, it's not like I'm like, ooh, I'm just itching for a new system to fix. Now, if I see a system that's broken, I'm probably gonna be like, ooh, let me just help you out real quick. Let me just automate these emails real quick for you. Um, but like, is that what I want to say? Hey, this is my thing? Not necessarily. But I do believe that I want to inspire, motivate, encourage, uplift people and have them understand their value. I think that is something that's super important to me. So,
And the reason why, okay, so let's go back to public speaking, because which one would you lead with? Would you want to lead with paint and pour? So if someone called you and say, I want you to come speak at this event, would you prefer them to hire you to do paint and pour, or would you prefer them to hire you to stand before an audience and just speak about a particular topic about growth?
I mean, it depends on the event. Of course, getting up and speaking about a particular topic, that's just easy, right? But I feel like the intimacy of the paint and pour is more my speed. However, I love getting up and just talking about, certain things in front of people and
So
making
why not just package that though? Why not just focus on paint and pour? Why
that,
not
listen, I would love that's fine with me.
end up all the way back
Help
here?
me out, folks, right?
Because the more, again, hearing you, and I hear the systems and the processes, but I also hear your resistance towards it. And the reason why I'm seeing it probably differently is because I understand the implementation of whatever it is that you are going to help your audience do is a process. So
Yeah.
let's remove the operations out of the equation. Fine. Corzetta does not want to be known as the process queen. Fine. We're going to remove that out. But if we focus on the paint and pour, and you design your talk topics around that, that could be what leads you into new doors. Because let's be honest, don't get me wrong, public speaking is top of the list. But what makes you different? So whether or not you're developing a canvas for a room of 500, or you're developing a canvas for a room of 50, if that's your unique sweet spot, then that's what we need to market. And we need to talk about the creative side of expressing your emotions and being able to see what's happening in your thoughts on the canvas, and being able to work through certain emotional roadblocks or emotional barriers or certain limitations that you placed on yourself all through my paint and pour talk topics, and just market that instead of trying to break it up into, because the goal is to solve a specific problem, to design a brand that speaks to the client, that is not so diverse. That one thing, have you ever been to the Cheesecake Factory?
Mm-hmm.
Do you like it?
I like the cheesecake.
Okay. Just give me one thing that you don't like about the restaurant.
I just feel like the menu is very confusing. Like there's a lot going on.
That's it.
Um,
But that's how people look at brands. If I come to your website, if I come to your this, and it looks like the Cheesecake Factory menu, I don't want it. I'd be like, that's okay, never mind. Because I don't know. You, first of all, you sending me to do too many different places. I don't know which one I want. I don't want nothing. Never mind.
Agreed.
Right? So if you build Corzetta Renee as a now my brain went somewhere else. If you build Corzetta Renee as the
Oops, sorry.
That's okay. The growth strategist that teaches through creative expression.
See, that's why you the coach.
On how to discover self-value and implement it in all areas or all aspects of life. Now we've narrowed down her message and we know exactly what she's coming to us to do.
Yeah.
What she's coming to us, or what we're hiring her to do. So it's now narrowing down. And again, we went through all of that because at first it was, these are the different areas that I'm teaching in. But the more you talk and the more you talk about the mission and the more you talk about the problem that you want to solve, it is through that creative expression where you're able to walk people through the self-value discovery session and your paint sessions.
I like it.
I like that. Let that be it.
I like it.
Because that's what's going to, listen, especially if you start getting your own designer and you start trademarking your designs, especially when you can start packaging the designs. And let me say this out loud. Every idea that is shared on the Coach My Life Network belongs to the client. Okay. So if we see this idea out in the streets, we coming for you. And I'm not playing. But back to what I was going to say. Packaging the paint, the box, and it comes with a link where you can teach as I'm painting. So now I have my own Corzetta Zone, Corzetta Stone paint in a box, and I can go to the link. I can QR scan the link on the box. It goes to the training, to the workshop that goes to that painting, and I can hear you because you have the ability to compile sound together. So however creative you decide to be, if you want to sing a little, be a little poetic and do a bunch of teaching all under the same recording, and I'm sitting with this in my headphones and I'm listening to you paint, you've just sold coaching in a box for $100 and I get the paint too.
This is good. All that to get here. This is good. This is good.
All that to get here. Okay.
I mean, but we figured it out. We getting there.
Narrowed it down. So I will focus on that. And then you can still do individual coaching out of that.
Yeah.
So whatever that theme is, whether or not it was at a workshop, whether or not they subscribed online, because this whole thing can be monetized, whether or not there's a private group, and every 30 days you start a new group, and the focus is growth strategies, growing through parenting, growing through
Mm.
I don't know, being a new wife, growing through whatever you like to talk about. And then you create these 30-day, and then on this 30 days, you are in a group with them, and maybe they get a new canvas every week, and they're painting, and you're coaching, and you're teaching. And then if they want individual coaching outside of that, then of course they can upsell and hire you outside of that. But these are ways that you can do what you love doing and then still offer a service. And
This is
now paying for is bigger than just showing up to people's
yeah.
and as a lead magnet, as a you're saying the canvas be a lead magnet, or you have to expound on what type of lead magnet that will be, Brittany. But yeah, okay, do you have any questions for me?
I'm glad this is recorded because I got to go back because there was something very specific you said right before. The whole sentence was it. So I got to go back. It was a grocery that specializes in, and I something. I'm about to go back and get it.
It
So
started like 125, right when the sound was to end,
I know.
right when it's time. No, but
I'm
I do. I
first
really do like it.
playing.
But most times that's how it works. Like you need a conversation to really kind of flesh out all of the thoughts and ideas, so
Hmm.
that you can hear, okay, this is where we landed. This is what went. Now that I hear, all of the different areas that you've been effective in, but what you really enjoy doing, what serves you, what the place where you feel that you thrive the most. And it's, you want to still exercise your creative side, but you also want to be that inspiration, that push to get people to want to grow and get to the next level. How do we combine them? And it definitely is the paint and pour.
Yeah.
And I think that unless you want to do other things, I think that should be the focus. If they hire you just to talk, cool, but
Right.
that's not my sweet spot. So it's really building everything around the paint. Yeah, I like that.
I love it because already my ideas are like going.
Do you know how many people will purchase your boxes and subscribe?
I don't, but I'm sure it's a lot.
But because you already, people are just waiting on you. You
Yeah.
already have the influence. You already have the following. You already have the people. You just don't have anything to offer them at this moment. And so now when you start positioning this as a subscription box, when you start positioning this as, maybe you sell, one box or whatever that theme is that month, or however you develop it, people are going to come because number one, they know you, and they know that what you have to offer is going to be of excellence because of what you've established over the years. So don't let the unfamiliarness of the product distract you from positioning the product for the people, because there's a lot of people who, and like I said, record it. You know how to go into a corner, fix you a little corner, put you something back there, however you want to do it, position your camera, get your microphone, record 30 minutes, 45 minutes, however long that teaching, that lesson is going to be, give them implementation that is according to that canvas. You talk, they paint.
Hmm. I like that.
You ship them the canvas, the box with all the goodies and things that you want inside of it. They scan the QR code. There's the workshop.
That is good. Because I wasn't even thinking on a level big enough, like, yeah, big enough. I'm thinking like, okay, I gotta do it local. But I'm not even thinking like technology. I can be anywhere.
Anywhere.
So, and then if you want me
Virtual.
to come, we'll work that out.
That's
But I
virtual trainings. I could ship you the canvases to whoever and then bring me live.
yeah. What do you think that I should only, because as I was sitting here, the idea came of like Valentine's Day type stuff. So couples paint and pours, like I've only been married 8 years, but having that time for them to say, oh, okay, like well, as you're painting, here are some questions you can ask each other. Like here are some things, like some ways for you to measure.
And let me correct you. Don't you ever say only, because 8 years is a long time. So don't just
I'm still learning. I'm still learning.
all are, but that's all apart because guess what? You've been married 8 years, but it's somebody struggling 8 months,
That's true.
struggling hard. Like, what did I sign up for? So if you can create those themes and talk about them, so of course you want to teach on them and you want to talk about them and then say, listen, let's take this experience a step further. Let's dive deeper into
Arma.
let's
First of all, she is not married at all, which is
She's like, I'm trying to get there. Y'all talking about struggling. I'm struggling to get there. It's all right. She got something for you, Karma. She gonna
I
create.
do, especially for you.
See,
It's
but again, even for that Valentine's, how to embrace your single season. I don't know, whatever it is that God gives you to teach on, teach it, design a canvas for it, package it, sell it. Ask to do group settings, of course, shipping, including the canvas, all the things, your price point included into that, ship it. Showing up to actual events, doing the same thing.
this is so good.
And the overall goal in all of what you're doing is to help others identify self-value. So if that's the end result, then that's what you keep as you're designing. How do I help this person identify self-value in this workshop, in this training, in this canvas, in this moment, and teach from there?
This is so good. This is so good. Don't be mad if I don't launch Friday. I've got to change some stuff now. No, we gonna still launch Friday.
Because it's a couple move switching changes. It's okay. Well,
Yeah,
listen, you
just
have no, I'm sorry. What was you saying?
no, I said just a few, just some changes, but the good changes.
Yeah.
Just flipping and moving some stuff. This is so good. Okay, so for y'all that are still on here, because we're probably gonna do something separate for me to. If you haven't been on here the whole time, we have been working through a whole lot. Okay, I do a lot, and I do a lot well with the help of the Lord. Nobody has ever, especially in this short period of time, been able to be like, oh, okay, let's do this. Most people, which is why I'm glad that like we know each other, but we didn't like intricately know each other. Because most people that know me would be like, girl, you need to do poetry. That's your thing. And I'm like, I don't feel like memorizing anymore. Like, so I'll write, I'll go do it, but like I'm not trying to be the poet of the year. But everybody will say that you should do the thing that makes them feel good and the thing that they like about what you do. But people have a hard time listening to what you're saying, helping you like stop being confused about it and then also give you direction. And that definitely does not happen in 90 minutes anywhere I've been. So
I
y'all need
appreciate
to get y'all life coached. Because
I
if she
appreciate
can do that with me in 90 minutes, easy peasy for the rest of y'all.
But guess what though? This is something, and we're definitely going to oh, okay. So her lead magnet, she said, is a trial subscription. Got you. Got you. I got
Wow.
you. Okay. So getting them to sign up for your getting them to sign up for your newsletters and so forth, creating some sort of mock or something to get them into the door. I got you, Brittany. But really quickly before we close it, I just want to share this with you. I always ask God, Lord, whoever it is that you have for me, you do the connecting. You make them aware of what I'm able to offer. And then if it's time, then let's go. Right. But I always say that when you know you're doing what you're called to do is when you can sit in front of a client and you can see a piece of you in them.
Mm.
So everything, when you start talking about, just if I could just get people to just see who they are, like that is that's like my life's everything. Like if I could just get you to just recognize the value that God has already placed in you, if I could just get you to understand, to count it all joy, that everything that you're going through is to prepare you for who God originally designed you to be, life will be so much easier for you. So to hear you say it, it's like, yep, confirmation. So this is for you, and this is for any other coach who are in, when if you're in a space where you're trying to figure out, have I been called to this? When you have this undeniable joy in seeing clarity and growth and development in other people, and it's you're constantly reminded of it. If you sit and you start having conversations with people and you can hear you in them, you need to listen, because God is speaking to you and he's speaking to you loudly. And what he's saying is that when I allowed you to go through all of those trials and tribulations, when I allowed you to experience some of those traumatic experiences, you thought that it was woe is me. Oh, my life is so bad. He said, no, I allowed you to go through those things because I was preparing you for the people that I've assigned to you. There are certain people that can't hear my voice, but they can hear yours. They can hear me through you. So it's up to you to stand and be uncomfortable. It's up to you to endure some of the trials and tribulations, because all of that is a part of who God has assigned you to. And so just know that while this may feel unfamiliar and you like, dang, this is something different, know that it's for a reason. God is seeking out in us innovation. Like he created. He gave us the gift to create. Why won't we create? Why won't we be fruitful and multiply? Whole nother story, whole nother time. But
Ooh.
are there any other questions for me, Corzetta, before we end?
Uh, no, you have done more than enough.
Cool.
And I have direction, and I have not had that. I needed that.
Cool.
Um, so yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm not even gonna get up into it because I'm gonna get emotional. So we'll chat offline.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and Corzetta, how can people, when is the launch? When can they look forward to this coaching in a box, this painting in a box, this whatever name you give it? How can they look forward to this so that they can be a part?
Okay, so everything is gonna be on my website. I thought we were going live Friday. I'm still gonna try to do that because today is just Monday, so I still have time. The website is literally my name that you see, CorzettaRenee.com. So that's coming. We were supposed to launch Friday, but again, this session just made me pivot a little bit. So we're gonna pivot a little bit, but in the next 7 days, it'll still be my goal is still Friday, but if not, it'll definitely be live in the next 7 days and we'll be ready. Um, Also, social media, I'm Corzetta Renee everywhere. You're not going to see this stuff on there now because we're just now about getting ready to launch it. But keep following Facebook, Instagram. Those are the only two I'm really on right now. We might get into TikTok and all that later. But for now, that is where you can find everything very, very soon. Thanks to Coach Toya, Latoya.
Sweet. I'm pressing all type of buttons. Sweet. So make sure, give her some time, but make sure you visit. Oh, that's supposed to say www, not whatever that just said. Make sure you give her some time before she officially launches. But if this is something that you feel could be beneficial to you, because I know without a shadow of a doubt that it's something that is going to be amazing. I have another client who does bling, and she be like, when I try to paint, or when, because she know I likes to paint too, she be like painting. So it's funny. We have like this paint and bling war that we have going on. But I definitely understand the freedom and expression when it comes to painting, and knowing that you're going to incorporate this in, as an opportunity to help people identify self-value makes 1000% sense to me. So if that's something that you're interested in doing, you're looking to really express yourself in a creative way, and you're looking to gain insight and growth strategies, and how do I become a better version of me? Maybe you're over the plain teaching and training, and you want something different, you want something innovative. I encourage you to visit Corzetta Renee, follow her on social media, find her on an outlet. This is someone that you want to be connected to. When someone is this passionate about your growth and your self-value, these are the people that you want to connect yourself to. So Corzetta, if that is all, I am going to put you behind stage. We're good? Have a good night. Listen, guys, this was a fantastic live coaching session. What I love about this is sometimes it takes me a little time. Sometimes I got to hear, I got to move stuff around, I got to dissect some things. But what I try to do most is yield to the Holy Spirit so that I can hear. Lord, what is it that you have for me to share? My goal is to bring clarity to the instructions that God has given you to impact people. How can I help you get the clarity in the instructions that God has given you? Understand that the Coach My Life Network is a platform. It's a personal and professional development network where you can visit us at coachmylife.com, and you can hire a coach, whether or not you're looking for support and forgiveness. Maybe you are a mother with a special needs child. Maybe you need support in building your business as a dualpreneur. We have coaches who can support you in different areas of your life. And know that this type of time that you allocate to growing yourself, to developing yourself, it's only going to yield to greater fruit, right? If you're looking for the success, you're looking for what do I do next, and I encourage you to go ahead and visit us at coachmylife.com. We have launched our the Coach My Life Volume 4. Listen, Coach My Life Volume 4. Make sure you head over to coachmylife.com and purchase your copy of the book and the journal so that you can become so that you can coach yourself through your process. Last but not least, if you're looking to become a part of the Coach My Life Network, make sure you reach out to me so that you can become Chase Great Certified in your niche. Master your message, become Chase Great Certified, and monetize anything. Thank you guys so much for rocking out with me today for this live coaching experience with Corzetta Renee. We are taking clients at the coachmylife.com, on the coachmylife.com site. Make sure you visit us to book your discover call. Have a fantastic night, and we'll see you in the next video. Be blessed.